Hi, and thanks for watching. Today I wanted to talk about practicing Tai Chi in a confined space, in a small space. Originally, Chen style Tai Chi, all of the Tai Chi was practiced outside. All of the Tai Chi took up a lot of space. Nowadays, it tends to be practiced indoors, not outside. And sometimes it's being practiced online, which means that there's a computer that you're always trying to look at and see. You're in a space that probably has some furniture, a bookshelf, a lamp, maybe a pet wandering through. And so we need to be able to figure out how to adapt that practice and be able to practice it effectively, even though the space that we have available to us has shrunk in size. And so there's a couple of things, key things that I can suggest that you try. The first one is if you have a moderate amount of space. And with a moderate amount of space, it means that you can pretty much fit a lot of the routine practice in there, but not quite. And so if anyone in this situation, you probably already found a solution, which is reduce some of the repetition. In the routine, there's often, typically, a couple of moves that are repeated a couple times. So a classic one is cloud hands, usually done coming through, repeated before moving on to the next move. This is linked in the sequence of the whole routine with rolling arm retreat, walking backwards, coming through here. So where one move takes you away from your starting position, the next move travels back. And of course, these moves are repeated. So instead of doing the cloud hands 3 times, if you do it once or twice and do a corresponding reduction in the number of repetitions for the rolling arm retreat, the walking backwards, that will reduce and shrink the overall size requirement for the routine. But what if you have even less space than that? Then what we need to do is we need to look at adding in a returning step. Typically, with all of the movements, there is a step, and then a weight shift, and then another step, and a weight shift, and another step. With each of those weight shifts, if we return the foot, do a returning step. So from here, there's a step. With the weight shift, step back, and step the other foot. Weight shift, step back, other foot, weight shift, step back, and step. So something that before took up this much space now can be contained within this much space here, essentially doing the Tai Chi on the spot. This can even be done for things like walking cloud hands where we're traveling sideways. It's just that the returning step, which is here, places that foot back to where it was. Step, returning step, step, returning step, and then on to the next part of the routine. What about something like with a jump? In Chen style Tai Chi, we have the jade woman shooting the shuttles, coming through. There's a front heel kick from there, step through, jump, cross step, spin. For this, we still need a certain amount of space, but we can reduce it by still adding in that returning step. We come from here, there is that front kick, we place the foot. From there, the returning step is here, jump, land, and spin. Even with the second routine in Chen style Tai Chi, where we have the sequence coming through with the leap, spin, and land. So this sequence, which is from here, leaning body strike, open, come through, and I've already run out of space to land and do the jump. For this, we can do this one also with a returning step. From here, strike, returning step, chop from here, land. So this thing which would normally take up this much space has now taken up this much space. The advantage of doing this, it does require an extra learning, getting used to, by adding in that returning step. But the advantage is, of course, that you can practice the movements in full, but also in sequence. It's very common when people have not enough space. They get to a certain point in the routine, then they run out of space, they stop. They reposition themselves, and then they continue on. So the sequence has been lost, or the continuous nature of its practice has been lost. By adding in the returning step, you're able to do the moves without modifying them, or to do the postures without modifying them. You have to add in the steps, so there's a modification, but the postures can be retained as they are. And more importantly, the sequence can be retained as a continuous sequence. And so I think that's the advantage of getting used to adding in this extra footwork. And of course, my experience with it is that when you do practice again outside in a larger space, returning to that approach, removing that returning step is easily done. It's not something where once you learn it, it's hard to unlearn. It's very easy to adapt the footwork from interior space to an exterior space. So I hope that information and those ideas are helpful for you. Keep learning, keep practicing. Thank you for watching.